Right. Hi. Auntie Belinda Brown. Bliss for rising. Vinette. Grand rising, grand rising. Happy Saturday, beautiful people. Get my car mix out this too. Bring do my video. Oh. All right, beautiful people. Happy Saturday. It is August the 6th, 2022, day 178 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1196. Today, we're picking back up in the book of Lika, son of Jehovah, on page 398. Y'all riding with Jonathan? Y'all riding with Jonathan? Yeah. Okay. All right. Be safe. Love you. All right, y'all. Lock the door too. You lock it? Okay. Thank you. All right, Father, we thank you for another day. We still at it, searching for truth as we always will be.
It's tomorrow.
Hmm?
It's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. Yes, baby. It is tomorrow. Say that. All right, y'all. Audrey, shalom, shalom. Anita, greetings, greetings. All right, beautiful people. So let's get started. Okay, chapter 5. Chapter 5. Tigva, bless up. Cameron, shalom, shalom. Okay, y'all. Set apart 11 grand rising, sis, grand rising. Okay, chapter 5. Veda Puisa in Lika's Etherian regions, made glorious by Jehovah's light and by his purified sons and daughters, whose heavenly mansions matched unto their great perfection, was now quickened with great joy. The trained hosts of Jehovah's son, Lika, knowing he was to take recreation by a journey to the red star, the earth, to deliver her unto holiness and love, provided music and heralds and trumpeters, millions of performers to claim their reverence and rejoicing. Elijah 7. Grand rising. I thought I cleaned my glasses good. Well, I'm waiting for Shebrew or my mama to come in. I'm gonna keep looking up. Then I'll say I already told Shebrew, but I'm trying to wait till they both come in so we can so I can say something. The fire ship, the Era Wagner, now adorned in splendor, was brought into its place, and the vast host for the journey entered into it. A roadway was preserved for Lika and his companions, chiefs and chieftainesses. First to lead of the Rapon host were the chieftainesses, Yanodi and Thazid, and they walked arm in arm. Next after them came Lika alone. Next came Rebsad and Thoso, arm in arm. Next came Mienti and Horsad, arm in arm. Then came Chama Jewis and Murdhana, arm in arm. Then Oshor and Yehoha, arm in arm. Then Guangu and Gi Hugan, and after them Rehim and Antosiv. Creator Jehovah, peace and blessings. Loud swelled the music as the chiefs marched forth, more than 1,000,000 in concerted song to Jehovah, and echoed by the far off trumpeters. And when the chiefs entered the ship, followed by the ship's laborers and firemen, all was motionless till the music ceased. Lika walked upon the high ark, and stretching up his hands to Jehovah, said, I go forth in thy name and wisdom and love and power, O Jehovah. Thy great heavens, which thou hast made, full of glory, shall bear me up. The spark thou gavest unto me will I keep quickened in thy sight. Thy hand is upon me. Thine arm encompass my ship of fire. In thee I know it will rise and course these worlds to the red star. Sail with thy host triumphantly unto labor for thy glory. Arise, O palace of the firmament, by the power of Jehovah that dwelleth in me. Upward, onward, arise. Verse 6, page 398. And now, with one will, the host joined in, and the laborers and firemen stood to their places a moment more, and the Aravagna, raised from its foundation, steered toward the red star and moved forth over the fields of Veta Puisa. 100,000 banners and flags floated and waved from every side on the great ship of heaven, and was answered by more than 100,000 more in the hands of the host below. The Essenes of the ship struck up a quickened march, joined by the millions beneath, whilst the great multitudes tossed up their hands and shouted in prolonged applause. Thus went forth Lika, son of Jehovah, to the red star, the earth. Chapter 6. As Lika in his ship sped on, coursing the fields of Sonasat and Hatar and Yax in the Etherian world, Goetha, rich in light in these regions, on the Yangui road, and now traversed by hundreds of vessels coursing hither and yon, Jehovah's light descended on the high ark in the midst of the Rapons, and the voice of Jehovah spake out of the light, saying, As I taught Corporeans to build ships to traverse corporal seas, so have I taught Etherians to build vessels to course my Etherian seas. Let me read it again. As I taught Corporeans to build ships to traverse corporal seas, so have I taught Etherians. Oh, yeah, let me read it again. I'm switching the words with my eyes, but I'm saying it right. Okay. As I taught Corporeans to build ships to traverse corporal seas, so have I taught Etherians to build vessels to course my Etherian seas. As I bound the Corporean that he could not rise up in the air above corporal, save by a vessel, and after vessel it has in square brackets balloon. So created I my heavens for the spirits of men, that by manufactured vessels they might course my firmament. For the little knowledge I gave to Corporeans, I made as a type of knowledge which is everlasting. To the Corporean, I gave two kinds of presence, objective and subjective. By the latter, he can imagine himself in a far off place, and the thought that proceedeth out of him goeth to. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me start over. By the latter, he can imagine himself in a far off place, and the thought that proceedeth out of him goeth to a friend and speaketh understandingly in the distance. For thus I created him. But he who goeth objectively must take his person with him, for so created I him. Talking about astral projecting, my G. Help me. I like this. I'm gonna read it again. That's exactly what he's talking about. Hold on. Oh, I just said all the way to the bottom. Okay, I'm gonna read this again. Subjectively, we can travel in two different ways while we got this flesh. Subjectively, meaning we can astral project, go by thought, right? Or out of body experience. Once you learn how to do it on purpose, you can do it safely. Hopefully, you're doing it safely. Alicia, yeah. Hey, girl, hey. And then if you go objectively, you got to bring your dog along with you. I'm sorry. You got to bring your body along with you. Read it again. Verse 5, chapter 6, page 399. To the corporean, I gave two kinds of presence, objective and subjective. By the latter, he can imagine himself in a far off place, and the thought that proceedeth out of him goeth to a friend and speaketh understandingly in the distance. For thus I created him. But he who goeth objectively must take his person with him, for so created I him. And I magnify these two conditions unto the spirits of all men, that they might also appear objectively and subjectively in the places known to them. I'm gonna read that verse again. And I magnify these two conditions unto the spirits of all men, that they might also appear objectively and subjectively in the places known to them. And this is the bondage I created unto all places on the earth and in the heavens thereof, making all men understand the power of objective association. Okay. So y'all ever seen what is that series? It's on Netflix. I think it's called The Key House. You know, it's not called The Key House, but that's how I remember the movie. It's called The Key House. Hold on, let me see if I can. Y'all gotta, if y'all, hold on, let me just see real quick. Because I think this is a perfect example. Well, you know what? Hold on. Let me just Google. Maybe that'll pull it up the right name for me, because I think I'm gonna have to log in up here because I ain't logged in on Netflix on my laptop. Let me see. Netflix, the key. No, as I was typing it, it's called Lock and Key. Hold on. Netflix, Lock and Key. Yeah, it came to me when I was typing it out. Lock and Key. Yeah, it's called Lock, Locke, and Key. Hold on, wait a minute. Yeah, that's it. I was reading this thing. I was like, wait a minute, move to the ancestral estate after the dad died. Hold on. Let me just double check myself, y'all. Lock and Key. I'm sorry. Hold on. Season 1. Oh, they got more. They got a second season? Yeah, okay, that's right. They call it The Key House. That's not the name of it. The name of the series is called Lock and Key. But the children in the movie call it The Key House. That's how I remembered it. Okay, so right here it says, and I magnify these two conditions unto the spirits of all men, that they might also appear objectively and subjectively in the places known to them. Right. So in here, in this little series, it's really, really interesting. So it's kind of like, I ain't gonna say a haunted house, but it's like it's really just a house, an older house. On this nice piece of land, but it's more of a Victorian style house, and that's where her family grew up when she was younger. So now that she's older and she has a family, and their dad or her husband has passed away, they decided to move back to this little town that had this huge house. Right? Anybody want to stay there because they think it's like a haunted house, but what it is, they call it the key house because every room and even the mirrors, they have a key to them. And when you stick the key in there, something magical happens within that room or within that mirror. You get all these different things happening, right? And I remember this one particular room, I forget which key it was, but the little boy, he was like 8 years old. Hey, babe. And for one particular door, he could unlock it and he could go to anywhere. He could go anywhere, but it would have to have been a place that he had already been in the flesh, right? So he would go to the real place. He would go to the real place, but like he could go to the real place and be there in real time, but it had to have been somewhere that he was already familiar with in order to get there. It's really, really interesting. But also that movie, uh, um, I think it's called Behind Her Eyes. When a dude was astral projecting, it's like that same principle in there. I'm gonna share both of those again. Hold on, talking about the key house. Hold on, Behind Her Eyes and Lock and Key. I'm gonna share them with y'all. But this reminded me of that. It was really, really interesting. So you could travel to different places, or they could get real familiar with a place and like look at pictures and everything, and they could actually go there in real time if they went through this particular door. And I forget which room it was, but that movie, matter of fact, both of them, Behind Her Eyes and Lock and Key, they are, now that I'm understanding a little bit more through the Oahspe about the spiritual realm and some of this stuff, I'm almost certain if these people who created these movies, produced these movies, if they didn't read Oahspe, they had supernatural insight into some of these things, because some of these movies be hitting some of these things we learn about now spot on, right? Mom, shalom, shalom. Listen, Shebrew came in yet? Shebrew ain't came in yet. Okay. I'm trying to tell him you was pocket dialing, deleting her by mistake while you was traveling to your appointment. I told my mama, I said, because I didn't notice it Friday, no, not Friday, Thursday when we were here. I didn't notice it because the chat was going up pretty fast and it kind of got out of my eyesight, so I didn't see it. But afterwards, maybe a couple hours after the live was over, I went through, I was like, let me check these comments. So I checked the comments and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then so I called my mama. I said, Mom, because I remember she was on her way at the beginning of the video. You heard me say happy travels to my mom, right? Because I knew she was traveling. I said, your phone must have been in your purse this morning or something while you was listening. She was like, yeah. She said, actually, it was in this little sleeve right here, because she had already gotten to her destination with her paperwork and stuff. So she dropped it in a little sleeve and just kind of set it on her lap or whatever, right? I said, yeah, because I had to go back because I was able to see what my mom had deleted Shebrew's comments. I'm like, well, Shebrew ain't said nothing vicious or nothing like that. I'm like, why did she keep deleting Shebrew? So that's why I called her. I said, that's why I was like, your phone must have been in your pocket or something. And she said, yeah, it was in this. She was like, why? I said, because you kept deleting Shebrew. She said, what? I said, this morning in the video, I went back to check a few minutes ago. Every time Shebrew said something, you just like deleted her comment. And she was like, oh. My mom was like almost distraught. She said, oh my God. She said, tell her I'm so sorry. I did not realize I was, because it was on her lap. You know how sometimes you sit there and you like tap your hand or something like that on your lap or whatever. But anyway, he kept deleting her comment. So, but she was like, oh my gosh. Like, you should have seen her eyes. Her mouth was open. She's like, oh, can you message her or something? Till I didn't do it on purpose. I was like, yeah, I already told her. So that's why I was trying to wait for her to come in so I could just, say it once. But I know some people was just kind of looking like, okay, well, what's wrong with Miss Vanetta this morning? Okay, Uncle JB, Grand Rise and Tabitha, blessings. Okay, yeah. So Lock and Key and Behind Her Eyes shows well. Lock and Key doesn't necessarily, girl, stop. Doesn't necessarily show astral projecting. It just shows you going from, I ain't even gonna say dimension. Because when they travel, it was real time. Now the new season, I'm gonna have to go back and watch because it was really good. It had you travel like in real time, which astral projection does a lot of time. You can literally travel real time and see what's happening real time. But I also know that you can see scenes that happened previously, and sometimes you can actually see scenes that are going to play out. I've witnessed like all three different ones, right? So, but yeah, that's what I thought about when I read this. Okay, I'm gonna start at 5 again. Chapter 6, verse 5, page 399. For the corporean, and remember this is Jehovah speaking. To the corporean, I gave two kinds of presents, objective and subjective. By the latter, meaning subjective, by the latter, he can imagine himself in a far off place, and the thought that proceedeth out of him goeth to a friend and speaketh understandingly in the distance. For thus I created him. But he who goeth objectively must take his person with him, for so created I him. And I magnify these two conditions unto the spirits of all men, that they might also appear objectively and subjectively in the places known to them. And this is the bondage I created unto all places on the earth and in the heavens thereof, making all men understand the power of objective association. Verse 8, I created wide seas on the corporal earth, that man should perceive that one man alone could not cross over, nor in a boat with any profit under the sun. Neither created I my heavens in the firmament, that one angel could go alone on long journeys, becoming isolated and powerless. But I provided them that they could not escape association. Yea, I created the firmament, that they must congregate together and go. Nevertheless, I gave freedom unto all. To him that goeth not objectively, to go subjectively. Remember, objectively, you taking your body with you. Subjectively, you going by the spirit of being able to astral project and go places, right? Verse 9, nevertheless, I gave freedom unto all, to him that goeth not objectively, to go subjectively, but of little avail, and not much truth or profit. And because I give this liberty, behold, even Druhas will say, yea, I have been there. Nor know they how to rise up from the earth or go to any place save on another's shoulders. That was good. Listen. So there, and that's something I was wondering. So at least in my previous understanding, growing up in the church, right, and even more so in my older days, I've always heard that when you when you're born into the spirit, or when you die and you become a spirit, that all things become perfect, and you know all things from the point you die. It's like from the beginning of creation, everything, the heavens, all that. And apparently that is not true. And if we sit and think about it, based on some of our experiences here, even if you have experiences with Druhas, or like church people like to say, demon spirits, if we actually sat there and thought about this, we would actually come to that conclusion that we don't become perfect, right? And you don't know all things. And because Oahspe teaches us that they don't know how to get into certain places in ethereal, nor can they rise up from the first heaven. So how is it possible that you become perfect, especially if there are also hospitals and schools and colleges, university in the spiritual realm? We definitely don't become perfect at the moment we pass. We definitely don't become whole in spirit the moment we pass, right? Because how you die is how you enter the spiritual realm. And if you die with a bullet hole to the head, you're gonna enter there missing something where we can see right through where you got shot at or whatever, right? And that's probably a little bit of exaggeration, but I want to say that might be true, right? However it was, you died. That's how you enter the realm. Just like murderers, when you enter, I forget exactly where it was, but those who actually take a life, there is let's say a mark on them, and I want to say there is a stench that follows them in the spiritual realm, where everybody in the spiritual realm know that they've taken a life when they were in the flesh before they passed away, right? So that's like a mark on them, on those people that do that. Can you be healed from it? Of course, right? But you got to go to the hospitals of heaven and all that stuff to purge yourself and to cleanse yourself and to make amends for all those things that you did before you passed away. Okay, yeah. So all spirits don't know everything, right? And the Great Spirit said that even the Druhas will say, yea, I have been there, and they haven't been every place. He said, because they ain't been nowhere except for on your shoulders. That's all they know. That's the only place they know to go, but they're gonna lie to you anyway. Listen, I'll read it again. I'll go back up to 7, page 399, chapter 6, verse 7. And so, oh yeah, look. And some know nothing at all, especially those who die in infancy. I forget exactly where it was. I heard Selah say that last night while he was doing his live. And I forget where it was at, but those who are those spirits who die in infancy, or the babies who die in infancy, because you didn't get a chance to develop. So they don't know anything, right? They're literally born dumb. They have no knowledge of anything. The first knowledge, information, education you get is when you come here, when you're born into the earth, born into, or you born into the womb of the earth, rather, right? So this is where we get our first education, when we get here. And as you grew up through infancy and adolescence and teenagers, adult, this is literally our first education. But if you die before you even get going good in your life, then you're like, literally, you're born dumb. Maybe that might be the title, Born Dumb. Something like that. We'll see. Okay, verse 7, page 399. And this is the bondage I created unto all places on the earth and in the heavens thereof, making all men understand the power of objective association. I created wide seas on the corporal earth, that man should perceive that one man alone could not cross over, nor in a small boat, with any profit under the sun. Neither created I my Ethereans, neither created I my heavens in the firmament, that one angel could go alone on long journeys, becoming isolated and powerless. But I provided them that they could not escape association. I created the firmament that they must congregate together and go. Yeah, it's rare. Matter of fact, never at all will you see a small boat with a single person out to sea. When we go out to sea, it's a whole ship. They got a fleet, and if there's one ship out there that you can see for however many nautical miles, it's full of people. I traveled on an aircraft carrier for 5 years, and on that aircraft carrier is literally a small city, and there's like over 5,000 people up there. Nobody ever travels the sea alone. You wouldn't be able to. You would die, right? I would say it's impossible without the right type of vessel, right? Ain't nobody definitely swimming out that far. Okay. I created wide seas on the corporal earth, that man should perceive that one man alone could not cross over, nor in a small boat, with any profit under the sun. Neither created I my heavens in the firmament, that one angel could go along on long journeys, becoming isolated and powerless. But I provide them that they could not escape association. Yea, I created the firmament, that they must congregate together and go. Nevertheless, I gave freedom unto all. To him that goeth not objectively, to go subjectively, but of little avail and not much truth or profit. And because I give this liberty, behold, even Druhas will say, Yea, I have been there. Nor they know how to rise up from the earth, or to go to any place, save on another's shoulders. And I created man and angels, that all knowledge, which is to be everlasting, must be obtained objectively. And I created man and angels, that all knowledge, which is to be everlasting, must be obtained objectively, meaning take your person with you, must be obtained objectively. Yea, in the experience of his own person made I him to desire without end. So you got to do your own research, your own due diligence. You for everlasting, provable information. You got to do it while you got this flesh, right? At least until you pass from here. As long as you got it, you better use it for all it's worth. I mean, in a good way. And I created man and angels, that all knowledge, which is to be everlasting, must be obtained objectively. Yea, in the experience of his own person, made I him to desire without end. And they fill my seas in heaven and earth with their great ships, with wants that could not be satisfied in one place created I man. Let me read that again. And they fill my seas in heaven and earth with their great ships, with wants that could not be satisfied in one place, created I man. For I drive him forth on strange errands and on missions of profit and love, for I will store him with a knowledge of my works. That's good. Kind of like when we go off studying different things, and some people be like, well, what's the purpose of even studying that? Just because we want to know. Like I studied the book of Enoch and just the different things, all the different subjects and things you could really get into. It really, even if you never teach it, I think it's beneficial to your education to help you understand more as you grow spiritually. Book of Judgment. Thank you. Thank you, Tikva. Where the spirits are born dumb. Thank you. Matter of fact, Book of Judgment, I think now that you said that, I think it was chapter 32. Because when he said it, 32, yeah, I think it was either 32 or 34. Because I said to myself, I was like, man, I should have went back a few more chapters because I started at the end of 35, 36, and 37. Because it was talking about um like the end of 35 was talking about the Sabbath, and then it was talking about the blood and how judgment is rendered against the act of communion, even acting like you eating blood and flesh, and it goes into the other stuff in chapter 36 and 37. Yeah, okay, so I want to say this Book of Judgment chapter 32 where that was found, either 32 or 34, one of the other. Put 32/34, but it was definitely one of them. Okay, chapter 7, page 400. Onward sped Lika in his Wagner with his 800 million through the sea of Inawasa, the Etherian realm of Oahspe, shining like a meteor in its flight, the ship of fire of 800 million. On every side, the Jehovian worshippers' vessels, tens of thousands, coursing as many ways, some fast on missions of quickened labor, some slow, as traveling school ships, exploring the great expanse and glorious richness of Jehovah's provided worlds, always ready for the newborn, and each and all the ships as studded gems in the ethereal sea. Go ahead. You good? Here, take this on that. Use that. Thank you. I'm gonna just start over. Onward sped Lika in his Wagner with his 800 million through the sea of Inawasa, the Etherian realm of Oahspe, shining like a meteor in its flight, the ship of fire of 800 million. On every side, the Jehovian worshippers' vessels, tens of thousands, coursing as many ways, some fast on missions of quickened labor, some slow as traveling school ships, exploring the great expanse and glorious richness of Jehovah's provided worlds, always ready for the newborn, each and all the ships as studded gems in the Etherian sea, moving brilliance, playing kaleidoscopic views, ever changing the boundless scene with surpassing wonders. And all of these, by signs and signals, the story of their place and mission, reveling to the high raised Etherian souls, ships, and men as quickened living books of fire, radiant with the Father's light and history of worlds. And all of these, by signs and signals, the story of their place and mission, revealing to the high raised Etherian souls, ships, and men as quickened living books of fire, radiant with the Father's light and history of worlds. On Lika's ship, as on all the others, every soul, hundreds of millions, enraptured, stood in awe and admiration of the ever-changing scenes, some in silence, absorbed in thought, some posing with upraised hands. Oh, why would they even use this word in here? Okay, I'm gonna start over. Y'all see what I'm talking about. I'm gonna just read past it without being weird. Verse 2. On Lika's ship, as on all the others, every soul, hundreds of millions, enraptured, stood in awe and admiration of the ever changing scenes, some in silence, absorbed in thought, some posing with upraised hands, some ejaculating gleefully, and some in high reverence to Jehovah, uttering everlasting praise. every soul, its full bent, being the full ripe fruit of the diversified talents as they first shone forth in corporal life. Onward sped Lika's Wagner, now in the roads of Nopeta, now in the Asian forest of Coop.
Oh, we found something here.
Babe.
Oh, we found something here.
Now in the Aegean forest of Kuan, most rich in adamantine substances, arches, stalactites, and stalagmites, and in forming and dissolving scenes, a forest, a very background in the Ethereal worlds for the. No, those are the whatchamacallits from the other jewelry. I'm just putting them in I put them out the safe to put them in a file. Onward sped Lika's Wagner, now in the roads of Nopeta, now in the Aegean forest of Kuan, most rich in adamantine substances, arches, stalactites, stalagmites, and in forming and dissolving scenes, a forest, a very background in the Ethereal worlds for the over brilliant crystal regions of light. And here too, the tens of thousands of ships of Jehovah's chosen, and on either side the great roadway lay the fields of Anutiv, inhabited by countless millions of Ethereal kingdoms. Along the road for hundreds of thousands of miles, stretched up the hands of millions and millions of souls, waving banners and flags to their favorite ships, going on some native star from which Jehovah brought them forth. So they still doing this introduction on where they're going. This is everything they're seeing. Remember, they always give this background. They introduce everybody. Tyler, hey girl, hey. They introduce everybody. And then as they're traveling, they let you know all these brilliant scenes that they're passing on their way to the red star. Right? Okay. Just in case you forgot. Verse 4. You got it? What do you need it for? No.
Can you redeem me that money?
Any of what?
That money.
What money?
Got
What money in there?
it's like over $1,000 in coupons.
In coupons? You know I pulled this stuff out of. It's probably expired.
2015, 2014, 2015.
Yeah, I don't think so, sir.
You don't know.
Check and see if it's an expiration date. For what?
It don't say it.
Is it for Jared? Mm-hmm. Oh, then it might not expire. I don't know. Go check. Let me know. If y'all don't know, this is my wonderful husband, Mr. Murphy. He Okay. Back to the morning devotion, Mr. Murphy. Okay. Verse 4, chapter 7, page 400. All right, Poop. Very good. Then changed the course of Lika's Wagner by his command sent through. Yes, you stand here in devotion with me.
Vote with me.
Okay, I got you after this. Then changed the course of Lika's Wagner by his commands sent through the comet Yogannaqactra, a new condensing world, already with a head of fire 4,000 miles broad, a very ball of melted corpor, whirling like the spindle of a filling spool, forever winding unto itself the wide extending nebula. Here were coursing along hundreds of thousands of school ships with students and visitors to view the scenes most grand and rolling on, now round, now broken, now outstretched, this ball of liquid fire whirling in the vortex 30 million miles long. Don't turn it up, Bella. If you want to watch it, you can go upstairs and watch that, but don't turn up loud. I mean, if you want to look at it without the sound, that's fine. To balance against which vortex many of the ships tossed and rolled dangerously had they not been in skilled hands, and as they were, causing millions of the students on many ships on on many a ship to fear and tremble, perceiving how helpless and stupid they were compared to the very gods who had them in charge. Not long did Lika lord her to view the scenes, nor to I know I just said, yep, turn it all the way down. Turn down some more. Some more. Bella, turn it down. Turn it down one more. Yeah, I know you can't hear it. I mean, you gonna have to hurry up so you can go in there and listen to it. Not long did Lika lord her to view the scenes or to indulge his 800 million, but stood his course again for the red star, the earth, coursing the Fawcett Mountains, where the god Vrilagaban built the Econicid kingdom, whose capital was Exanstras, the place where the Nuan gods assembled to witness the first starting forth of the earth. Here, halting a while, and adown went Lika's recorders to gather from the Exastra's libraries the earth's early history and the grade of her creation, a copy of which obtained, the recorders hastily returned, then onward again sped the Aravagna, now making course across the plains of Zed, in the midst of which lay the great sea of Blauwachsee, 4 million miles across, and this also studied over with thousands of Ethereum ships. Like, I'm really interested in getting into some of these libraries. I mean, I don't want to die first. I just want to be able to get there, read some of these books, and come back and tell y'all about them. I don't want to die for a very long time here because I need to learn all I can to make sure I bypass some of these shenaniganizing levels on the third round. Verse 6. And now across to Rikas, the place of the goddess Inen Fatus, with her 7,000 million Ethereum souls, whereupon Lika and his hosts cast down millions of wreaths and tokens, and the while the music of the two spheres mingled together in Jehovah's praise. Here, across the distance, was 3 million miles. Now, all the while before, the red star stood upward, inclining upward, but here in horizontal line began to stand, gleaming in more effulgent flame. And in the course where Lika's Aravagna should go, the goddess and then Fatus had previously upraised 1,000 pillars of fire to honor him and his company with which great respect Lika and his hosts answered with holy salutations. After this came the Gean forest of Hogobed, 3 million miles across, and close for lack of Ethereal air and inspiration. Here stood the province of Arathactian, where dwelt the god Usen with 30,000 million newly raised brides and bridegrooms from the star Kagados. Over these regions, Lika sped swiftly, and then to the open sea of Matapan on the Bashan roads. Then a sail of 2 million miles in the uninhabited regions of Sama when he reached Chinvat, the bridge on the boundary of the Earth's vortex beyond the orbit of the moon. And halting not, but now coursing on a downward plane, made straight toward the swift rolling earth, whose speed was 750,000 miles a day. Through the high, what? How far away really are they? Hold on, this be, I don't know. I'm really trying to shoot. I have a hard time calculating anything above a million. Math wise, when the numbers run off the calculator and start giving you letters, I'm like, yeah, okay, we're just gonna have to imagine this. And halting not, but now coursing on a downward plane, made straight toward the swift rolling earth, whose speed was 750,000 miles a day. Oh, 750,000 miles. This is about 300,000. Through the high floating plateau of atmosphere came, I'm sorry, no, that's wrong. See, 3/4, 4/4, 3. So that's actually, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. 3/4, that's about 750,000. Yeah. 3/4 is 750,000. Okay. Yep. I had to think about my math sometime, y'all. And halting not, but now coursing down on a downward plane, made straight toward the swift rolling earth, whose speed was 750,000 miles a day. Through the high floating plateau of atmosphere came Lika with his fire ship, with his host 800 million, came his ship like a meteor, large as a continent. Chapter 8. On the uninhibited plateau, Theovrakistan, rich and broad as the earth, high above the lands of Japheth and Vidu in Arabia, lighted Lika in his Aravagna with his 800 million. Here he made fast his fire ship, and forth came his host to found a heavenly kingdom. Lika said, I hear thy voice, O Jehovah. Thy hand is upon me. In thy wisdom and power will I build the foundations of thy kingdom in these heavens. Jehovah said, call forth thy Rapon host, thy companion chiefs, build thy throne broad for them and thee. And shape thou the area of the capital, and stand thy high council, the chosen million, to the 4/4 of the heavens of the earth. The legions then fell to and built a heavenly place unto Jehovah, and called it Yogannaqactra, home of Lika and his 8,000,000. That's fun to say. That's gonna definitely be in the title today. Yogannaqactra. Verse 5. Jehovah called out of the light of the throne which Lika built, saying, Lika, my son, thou shalt build all things new on the earth and in the heavens of the earth, even as if nothing had ever been. Send thou thy messengers in an otivan to the broken down region of my beloved, God of Creoshavi, and bring him and his 1,000 attendants unto thy place. Thereupon an otivan was sent off, well officered, and in due time it returned, bringing God to Yogannaqactra, where he was received with great joy and greeted in Jehovah's name. Lika said, speak thou, O God, for I am come to deliver these heavens into Jehovah's dominion. What are the light and the darkness of the heavens and the earth that have been entrusted to thy keeping in Jehovah's name? God said, alas, how can I speak? Behold, my kingdoms are scattered and gone. I have nowhere any pride in anything I have done in heaven and earth. An exceeding great darkness came upon my people for 1,500 years. Thy servants have been overpowered, helpless, and tossed as chaff before the wind. Lika said, how many gods? How many dens of darkness? Whither are gone my true gods? God said, 4 gods are risen to Ethereum with their hosts, heartbroken, true gods. 4 dens have come and gone, so weak and small, like a breath of air, for the darkness brushed them away. And Savak Haben in Ethereum sojourn thy gods. They, like, they got that bad with Jehovah's hosts. They just left camp, left the mortals. Man, they was completely in the hands of the Druges at this point. Jeez. Verse 10, God said, 4 gods are risen to Ethereal with their hosts, heartbroken, true gods. 4 dans have come and gone, so weak and small, like a breath of air, for the darkness brushed them away. And in Savat Haben in Etheria sojourn thy gods. Jehovah's light fell upon the throne, and his voice came out of the light, saying, send thou, O my son, Lika, to Savat Haben 4 arrow ships with 100,000 attendants for my true gods, and bring them to Yogannaqactra. Lika then sent 4 arrow ships with his swift messengers and 100,000 attendants to bring back the 4 disconcerted gods. God said, Thousands of millions of angels of darkness flood the Hadan regions, and as many grovel about the low earth. Deus, the false Lord God, and is cast into hell, a hell so wide that none can approach his place of torment. Tan, the false god, the Joss, is also cast into hell, and so is Sudga, the false deist, and so are all the false gods that encompass the earth around. Their kingdoms are in anarchy. The names Lord and God and Deus and Dias and Zeus and Joss and Hojas and many others have become worshipful on the earth. Not only labored the not only labored the traitors to put away the Great Spirit, but to establish themselves as men gods capable of creating, yea, the veritable creator of heaven and earth. Lika said, "Hear thou then the voice of Jehovah, because they have put me aside and assumed to be creators under the name God and Deus. I will magnify the person of God and Deus in man's understanding. Nor from this time forth on the earth for 3,000 years shall man be confined to the one name Jehovah or Eolin or Eloah, but worship God or Lord or Deus or Zeus or Dias or Jas or Hojas. For since these men have cast themselves into hells, behold, the spirits of the risen shall not find them, nor their kingdoms. And thou shalt magnify unto mortals that all names worshipful belong to the ever present, whose person is the spirit and substance of all things. And if they inquire of thee, who is Deus, or who is God, or who is just, thou shalt say, hath he not said, behold, I am the creator of heaven and earth? And I say unto you, he is the ever present, the all highest ideal. This is interesting. But this bondage shall come upon them to reap the harvest they have sown, because one hath said, build thou a pyramid, and thy God will come and abide therein, even as a man dwelleth in a house, he shall be bound while the pyramid standeth. And another hath said, behold, thy God is in the image of a man, and he sitteth on a throne in heaven. He shall be bound while his belief surviveth on the earth. Because they have sown a falsehood on the earth, the harvest is theirs. And until they have reaped their whole harvest, they shall not rise into my ethereal worlds. Sheesh. Well, we know you got to clean up your mess. You make a mess, you got to clean it up before you go, right? Before you get any higher. Jan, shalom, shalom, Miss Amazing Wonders. Shalama, salama. Okay, chapter 9, where we at? 53 minutes. Chapter 9, page 403, Book of Lika, son of Jehovah. When the other four gods, the true sons of Jehovah, who had been discomfited in the lower heavens by Deus and his fellow false gods, came, the light of Jehovah came again on Lika's throne. Let me read that again. When the other, excuse me, when the other four gods, the true sons of Jehovah, who had been discomfited in the lowest heavens by Deus and his fellow false gods, came, the light of Jehovah came again on Lika's throne. Okay. I think I still kind of read that wrong. So remember how they had just said that where my true gods at? Yo, they didn't risen to the theory, my G. It's too much going on down here. They don't have the help. Everybody just, the Druge's darkness has overpowered all of us. He went back and got them four. When them four true gods came back, the throne lit up. Okay, let me read it. When the other four gods, the true sons of Jehovah, who had been discomfited in the lower heavens by Deus and his follower and his fellow false gods, came, the light of Jehovah came again on Lika's throne. Jehovah said, I suffer not evil to triumph over good, but for short seasons. And soon or late, my righteous sons and daughters rise up and rejoice in their trials which I suffered to come upon them. Essentially, he was saying trouble don't last always, sons and daughters. Troubles don't last always. Let not men or angels say, because of this or that happened, lo, Jehovah sleepeth at his post, or lo, Jehovah is the author of evil, or is impotent to avert it. My times are not as the times of men nor angels. My times are not as the time of men or angels, nor am I within the judgment of men as to what is evil or good. When the wealth of a rich man is stolen, do not mortals say, poor man, Jehovah hath afflicted him? For they judge me by what they consider afflictions, but they behold not, that I look to the soul of man as to what is good for him. That's good. Hold on. That's good. Let me just read it over. Verse 3. My times are not as the times of men or angels, nor am I within the judgment of man as to what is evil or good. When the wealth of the rich man is stolen, do not mortals say, poor man, Jehovah hath afflicted him? For they judge me by what they consider afflictions, but they behold not that I look at the soul of man as to what is good for him. And when the assassin hath struck the king unto death, behold, they say, how hath a good creator done this? For they consider not the nation, nor the problem of anything, but for the day thereof. Nor consider they what I do for the souls of many nations by one small act. Woo, that's good. He said, we just looking at what's in front of our face. He said, I'm looking into the future to see what will come of this small thing. And then I adjust as need be. For all people in heaven and earth are mine own. They are as trees in my orchard, and I prune them not for the life of the branches, but for the benefit of the whole orchard and for the harvest that come after. That deserves a different highlighter. For all people in heaven and earth are mine. They are as trees in my orchard, and I prune them not for the life of the branches, but for the benefit of the whole orchard and for the harvest that come after. I created life, and I take away life. In mine own way do I with mine own. I send night to follow day, clouds to interchange with the sunshine, and even so do I give times of day into my atmosphere heavens to be followed by seasons of darkness. By these changes do mortals and angels and gods learn to battle with and overcome the elements of my worlds. The true gods said, we weep before thee, O Jehovah. Long and hard we labored our allotted seasons. We were helpless witnesses to the great darkness that came upon the inhabitants of heaven and earth. Lika said, to you five true gods who have toiled in the darkness of the earth and her heavens, I restore your old time names for the season of dawn, after which I will raise you all up with your kingdoms restored to the full, and ye shall be heirs in my Nirvanian heavens, in peace and rest. Chapter 10, page 404. The five gods' names were An, Jek, Le, Oal, and Yith. Lika said unto them, ye have been heretofore crowned as gods. Come ye to the foot of Jehovah's throne, for I will crown you with new names. When they came to the place designated, Lika continued, take my crown upon thy head, and speak thou in Jehovah's name in that labor which I put upon thee. Jehovah in An, Jehovah in Jek, Jehovah in Le, Jehovah in Oal, Jehovah in Yith. And thereupon Lika crowned them with a band on the head inscribed in Nene, in Jek, in Le, in Noal, in Yith, panic names designating the rank and the age of the earth in which these things came to pass. So it just added I-N to all of their names. N-N-I-N, A-N-E. Inject, I-N-J-E-K, and so on and so forth with the other three. And thereupon, let me start back at one. Okay. The five gods' names were An, Jek, Lay, Oal, and Yith. Lika said unto them, Ye have been heretofore crowned as gods. Come ye to the foot of Jehovah's throne, for I will crown you with new names. When they came to the place designated, Lika continued, Take my crown upon thy head, and speak thou in Jehovah's name in that labor in which I put upon thee, Jehovah in An, Jehovah in Ek, in Jek, Jehovah in Lay, Jehovah in Oal, and Jehovah in Yith. And thereupon Lika crowned them with a band on the head, inscribed in An, in Jek, in Lay, in Noal, and in Yith, panic names designating their rank and the age of the earth in which these things came to pass. Lika said, To each and every one I give of my Ethereal host 10 million laborers for the period of dawn. I see it. And these are the labors I allot unto you, to inane, to go down to the earth, to the land of Vidu, and be inspirer unto my mortal son Capelia and his followers, to inlay, to go down to the earth, to the land of Japheth, and be inspirer unto my son Chine and his followers, to in Oal, to go down to the earth, to the land of Egypt, and be inspirer to my son Moses and his followers. And ye three shall restore the faiths in these great divisions of the earth unto liberty and safety. And thou in Noah shalt deliver Moses and the faiths out of Egypt, and shape their course westward, for they shall circumscribe the earth and complete it by the time of Cosmon. Verse 5, to inject, go down to the earth to Parsi and Hellas, and provide those peoples to liberate the slaves who are faithless, whom thou shalt inspire to migrate to Moses and his people, to Eniyith, to go down to the earth to Japheth and Vidu and Arabia, to inspire the scattered faithless, in whose lands come together to the great lights, Capelia, Chine, and Moses. And after, at the middle of verse 5, to Eniyith, Eniyith has reference number 1 behind it. And down at the bottom, it just says Inlay, I-N-L-A-Y. Okay. Verse 6. And ye shall take with you of my host, whom I bought from Etheria, and labor ye together as one man. And when dawn hath ended, ye shall repair hither, and be raised up into my Nirvanian kingdoms. Nevertheless, ye shall not leave Jehovah's chosen alone, but provide angel successors unto them. And herein I give you a new law unto all my angel hosts, who shall hereafter dwell with the faithless on the earth, which is that successors shall always be provided by the retiring host ere they have departed, for the faithless shall not more be left alone for a long season. And so, they hanging out with us, y'all. They hanging out with us. The chosen five then said, In thy name and wisdom and power, O Jehovah, we go forth in joy to fulfill thy commandments. Because we lost the earth, thou hast given it into our hands to redeem it and glorify thee. And thereupon Lika proclaimed a day of recreation, so the host could be selected, the 50 million to which labor the marshals fell to, helping the chosen. During the recreation, the atmospherians explained to the Ethereans how lay the lands of the earth and the heavens thereunto belonging. And then, after a season of prayer and singing and a season of dancing, the recreation was brought to a close. After labor was resumed, the chosen five, with their hosts, saluted before the throne of Jehovah, and then withdrew and went to vessels which had been previously prepared for them, and embarked and departed for the earth. Tiffany, hey girl, hey. Oahspe College University. Shalom. You've been here for a while, just now seeing something. This angel that appeared to Moses was the God of Moses in the KJV. Oh, Eno was that angel you said. I know, Tabitha, the names we struggling with in Oahspe. One day we'll have the privilege of meeting these angels and visiting these places. I'm sure a lot of them are going to be like, look, I'm going to have a whole long line waiting for me. This is the line to teach you what our correct names are. Wait, we're going to be here for a while. Okay, and how you say your name? Oh, snap. What I say? Roll down the screen. We're going to show you every time you said my name wrong. I'm be like, I'm be probably standing up there laughing, hollering, and screaming. I was like, "Ooh, I really screwed that one up. I just skipped over. Gee, why you skip over me?" All right, y'all. Chapter 11. Jehovah spake to Lika, saying, "Appoint thou other servants." Jehovah spake to Lika, saying, "Appoint thou other servants unto me for the other great divisions of the earth, and for the islands and the oceans of the earth, and give unto them each 10,000,000 of my servants, which thou boughtest from Nirvana, and they shall go down amongst mortals, and by inspiration and otherwise collect together in groups the scattered faithists who worship me." And after Nirvana, it has reference number 2, and it just says Nirvania down at the bottom. Okay. And they shall go down amongst mortals, and by inspiration and otherwise collect together in groups the scattered faithists who worship me. I'm going to have to share that today. Oahspe College University said I did a video explaining the God of Moses using the book of Lika. Ooh, thank you for that. Okay, hold on. I'm going to share it, y'all. Book of Lika. Oahspe College University. Share video. Moses, God. Okay. And thy servants shall also provide successors to come after them to abide with mortals, making the seasons of watch short unto them, that they shall not be weary thereof. Then Lika appointed to Chal, Neyak, Gichi, Guelph, Ali, and Siwa, and allotted them to different divisions of the earth, and he gave them each 10,000,000 hosts brought from the Orion worlds. Well, we know Geechee was over here, y'all, in the Americas. It's, from reading ahead. I know. All right. Y'all probably know too, but I'm just saying. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Verse 2. Then Lika appointed to Chal, Neyak, Gichi, Guelph, Ali, and Siwa, and allotted them to different divisions of the earth, and he gave them each 10,000,000 of the host brought from the Orion worlds. And these were selected after the same manner as the previous ones, and they also saluted and departed for the earth. Again, Jehovah spake in the light of the throne, saying, "Because many are risen in wisdom and truth, I will have Theovachristan for my holy place unto them, and it shall be the region for my brides and bridegrooms at the resurrection of dawn. But at the end thereof, it shall be divided and subdivided, that none may find the place of my standing. For it hath come to pass that man on earth, learning the name of one of my heavens, glorifieth it, and aspire to rise to it, but rise to no other heaven." Oh, ooh. I had a question. I think this just answered my question I've been wondering about. Sometimes I just kind of hold on my questions, because it's my first time reading through this, and I figured I'm gonna get to it soon enough. This is because I was wondering. I'm like, why? It seems to me, Jehovah, the Great Spirit, we can constantly see him speaking and we can hear his voice. But Why won't you pinpoint your destination, my G? Like, where you really at? How many? Don't worry about that right now. Don't worry about that, sweetheart. Don't worry about that. Well, first, I want you to just explore everything in the vastness of my creation. You know how long you're gonna be exploring this? Because if I give you this one thing, if I tell you exactly where I am, you ain't gonna look for nothing else. You ain't gonna go see the beauty of nothing. You gonna come straight here knocking on my door. Hey, 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 let me in, right? He said, you gonna get one track minded. He said, and I want to keep this fun for everybody involved. Yes, they are, Tabitha. She said, I have followed all Oahspe College videos on Oahspe. They're good. Yeah, if y'all haven't gone to his channel, y'all go subscribe to his channel. He got some really good stuff. And he do some breakdowns and stuff like Selah be doing. Okay. He be showing y'all the screens and stuff. I'm just reading and lifting up the book. So, I don't even know how to do all that. I'm sure it's the easy way to do it, but I think it might change the flow of all my stuff, and not half the video I'd be fumbling with stuff till I get it right. Now, just like, you know what, I'll just keep lifting up the book and I'll leave the references. That's just the way I flow best right now. That might change in the future, but right now I just keep it under control this way. Okay. All right, yeah. So he said if he just pinpoint different things, like it's what's that scripture in the in Proverbs? Is it Proverbs? It's the I might say this wrong. The glory of hold on, no. The glory of God to conceal a matter. No, did I said it wrong. Hold on. I think I'm about to screw it up. Hold on. Let me just look for it real quick. I don't really want to screw it up. Hold on. About this the glory to the kings to like the Father conceals a matter, but it's our glory to and our joy to discover. Hold on. Right. Okay. Proverbs 25. Proverbs 25, 2. It says, it is the glory of God to conceal a matter, to search out the matter is the glory of kings, right? So to search out the matter is our glory. It's like we get all the feels and everything by getting out here actually exploring and looking for things, right? It's how we remember. It's like we get involved in our own education. So, and I realize a lot of times that used to be one of my biggest one of my biggest issues that I took up with the Father. I'm like, why don't you just give me the answer? What fun would that be? I'm like, why do you always give everything to me like I'm in a friggin' scavenger hunt? Why I gotta go looking for the pieces? I can clearly hear you talking to me. And if you see me going off in the wrong place, you just be like, go ahead, get to the end of that. You will see why. And I'm just like, we could have saved all this time. You know how far raised and far high I could be if you just told me this stuff? What fun would that be? And your head would get all big, like you get everything from me. So no. It's your glory to be able to search the matters out and understand it. I'm like, okay, I get it, right? Let me tell you. And if he constantly told us everything all the time, we'd be remember we talked about Billy Madison the other day. Remember how he was? Lazy, fat, living off his daddy money, not taking no kind of responsibility for his life. Boy, there's a lazy tail friends over there. It's like, no, I don't want no Billy Madisons over here, right? Which is why we got to do our part. We got to be responsible children. When you mess that up, go clean it up. I ain't gonna clean up your mess. You calling for Jesus to take the wheel. How about you keep your hands on that wheel before you crash? Because if you keep on getting it to him, you gonna crash anyway. Okay. Look, thank you, set apart living. Okay, let me get back to reading, y'all. Okay, we are on page 406, chapter 11? Chapter 11 of the book of Lika, verse 3. I'll just start it over. Okay. I got off into my little rabbit trail because I was saying now understand why the Father don't just answer a lot of questions. Some little answers you would get, right? But for the most part, especially when one topic, like, if I can say it this way, if one topic connects to another and it connects to another, it's better that we walk through the path and we experience it, because our understanding will literally like turn on. Light bulbs begin to go off and we're able to connect the pieces of the puzzle. Tiffany, I got caught up in my garden and completely lost track of time. Got to go back and listen. Oh, okay. All right. Verse 3. Again, Jehovah spake in the light of the throne, saying, because many are risen in wisdom and truth, I will have Theophrakistan for my holy place unto them, and it shall be the region for my brides and bridegrooms at the resurrection of dawn. But at the end thereof, it shall be divided and subdivided, that none may find the place of my standing. Right? And they're like, where you at, Father? Where you at? We doing all this to come see you. Y'all, keep on going. You divide everybody up. Otherwise, everybody be bum rushing his door. But at the end thereof, it shall be divided and subdivided, that none may find the place of my standing. For it hath come to pass that man on the earth, learning the names of one of my heavens, glorifieth it, and aspireth to rise to it, but to rise to no other heaven. Because my true gods taught man of horrid in the early days, man desired horrid. Because my true gods taught man of horrid in the early days, man desired horrid. Whereupon my enemies, the false gods, each one cried out, behold, my heavenly place is horrid. I am the all heavenly ruler. Come thither to me. For by this means the name I gave in truth was usurped and made as a snare to enslave my earthborn. Oh, this is so good. It's so good. And I will not more give to mortals a name of any of my heavenly places, nor shall they be taught of any heavens save the higher and the lower heavens, which shall designate my Etherian and atmospherian heavens. And by these terms shall man on earth be fortified against the stratagems of false heavenly rulers. That's good, right? So I'm gonna give y'all just enough while y'all on this level. While you're on this level, you can know about this and this just to keep you safe from the shenanigans when you pass here. But you'll learn about the higher ones. We can go higher. Why didn't you tell us that damn we could have? Because you needed to learn these little things in order to get through here successfully, or you would have got ensnared by these false lords and gods who are proclaiming to be the God of this place that you're trying to get to, right? I'm gonna read that again. And I will not more give to mortals a name of any of my heavenly places, nor shall they be taught of any heavens, save the higher and the lower heavens, which shall designate my Etherian and my atmospherian heavens. And by these terms shall man on earth be fortified against the stratagems of false heavenly rulers. And man shall perceive that when angels or men or God or saviors say, come ye unto me, and I will give ye of my heavenly kingdom, that they are false, and but tyrants to enslave my people. Remember, if you're still going after a savior, save the great spirit alone, you have been duped, hoodwinked, shenaniganized. And man shall perceive that when angels or men or gods or saviors say, come ye unto me, and I will give you of my heavenly kingdom, that they are false, and but tyrants to enslave my people. But if they say, go ye, serve the great spirit, and not me, for I am only a man as thou art, then it shall be known that they are of my Nirvanian host. Kind of remind me of Daniel. Remember when Daniel went into a vision and he began to bow? He said, Daniel, bro, get up. Don't bow to me. I'm a man just like you, right? There was some good dudes right there that was talking to Daniel, at least from my perspective, understanding at this point right now. Right? Okay. And if they say, come ye to this heaven or that heaven, for with me only is the light, it shall be testimony against them. But if they say, verily, Jehovah is with thee, cultivate thyself with him, and thou shalt find delight in all worlds, then shall it be testimony, they are from my emancipated heavens. Lika said, 70 new kingdoms shall ye found in the lowest heaven, where ye shall begin again with schools and colleges and factories, teaching the spirits of the dead the requirements for resurrection, right? Like we was talking about earlier. You're not born into the spirit knowing everything. Some spirits are born dumb, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't have the colleges and the schools and the factories, right? I read it again. Verse 8, page 406. Lika said, 70 new kingdoms shall ye found in the lowest heaven, where ye shall begin again with schools and colleges and factories, teaching the spirits of the dead the requirements for resurrection. 200 million of my Orion angels shall be allotted to these 70 heavenly places, and during dawn it shall be their work to carry out these commandments, and they shall provide for successors after them who shall continue for another season, and they shall provide yet other successors, and so on, even till the coming of the Cosmine era. Lika then selected the 200 million angels and divided them into 70 groups and companies around about the earth in the lowest heaven. And after they were duly officered and organized, they saluted before the throne of Jehovah and departed to their several places. Honor and humility. Shalom, shalom. Shushan, shalom. What you say? Many parents fail to provide for their children, let others do it. Oh, that's good. Let me read that again. Shushan said, many parents fail to provide for their children and let others do it, some choosing jail over support. 2 Corinthians 12:14b. Children ought not lay up for the parents, but parents for the children. Yeah. Yo, that's good. That's good. Thank you for that. Let me see. Look, not saying that listen, clearly schools and stuff are created, but I feel, listen, I may not be the most perfect homeschool mom. Matter of fact, I'm probably the lowest on the list, daily wondering if my kids gonna be dumb. I'm just like, but I feel I have been feeling for years ever since. Oh my gosh, I got so many homeschool stories, y'all. It's crazy. Listen, I just I think it's part of my personal training, right? Some people choose to homeschool, some don't have the means to, and they have to put them in public schools. And if you do, you should still be engaged in your children's learning either way, just to make sure you ain't just like giving them up to other people, right? Because a lot of times, and I used to be guilty of that, we tend to just send them to school, let the teachers handle this and this and that, right? But a lot of times when we do that, we relinquish the authority or the good presence that we would have in our children's life to keep them safe from things, right? So even if you can't afford to, or financially, and most people can't because they can't financially afford to homeschool because they have to work. And some people don't even think that they know enough to homeschool. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you, I am not a math genius. I am not. Y'all see, I done screwed up the 3/4, and I gave you a quarter instead, but I caught my mistake and I had to fix it. Listen, but I found out, even at least here in Virginia, you don't have to had already been a teacher in a school system, or you can have a degree, but you're not required to, as long as you have at least a high school education. And don't even have to be a high school education, you can have a GED. If you want to homeschool your children, you just need to put in that notice of intent, and then you need to show to the state what curriculum you're going to use, right? So you don't necessarily have to teach them. You can it's kind of like facilitating, meaning you don't have to create the curriculum. We would still be trying to figure this out if I had to create a curriculum, right? Let's look at the different curriculums and we just want to choose. So I found this one. It's called Time for Learning. It's animated. It keeps the kids' attention. They even have support if you need extra support aside from the interactive videos and everything, all of that. I like using that because I figured I'm not a teacher. I said, but I can facilitate my butt off. I can make sure you're getting it done. And if you got questions, we'll figure it out together, right? Because when they get to the math section, when it started getting to the fractions, I'm just like, we need to phone a friend, or we need to call the teacher. And I'm talking about my 8-year-old son math work. But you really don't have to you really don't for real have to know all of this. You just really need to understand and know where you can get the information and the help from, right? So a lot of times when we relinquish our rights as parents, we literally just kind of give our children up, like let me go back up here. Like Shushan said, many parents fail to provide for the children and let others do it. Some choosing jail over support, right? So even if we can just support them the best way we know how, and when we don't know, we can just reach out and ask somebody. I didn't realize that there was such a huge homeschool community here where we're at, and where we just moved from, it was a huge one there. And where we moved at here in the new city, we literally live right across the street from the library, and a big homeschool community here meets at this library, right? It's parents from all walks of life, all colors, kids everywhere. Some people choosing to do the strict curriculum and stuff like public school. Others like, you know what, we just gonna free for all. We're gonna do the unschool. So I'm more, being honest about it, I'm more of the unschooling type parent, to where even though we use the curriculum that they have just to kind of keep us all on track, me for real, so I can make sure they hitting certain points and stuff. But unschooling is not, they say unschooling is like child led, but that don't mean like you get up and do whatever you want to do. We just kind of watching them as they develop. We're still giving them a little bit of structure, but not so much where we stifle their gifts and we can't see how they're developing. And for me, for the boys and stuff, because my boys are really active and they're like hands-on doing stuff, I found that to be the best way for them to learn, with, checking in with the time for learning curriculum, from time to time, making sure we just kind of staying on course. But even with that, y'all ever heard of Sylvan Learning Centers? Because we've been doing like the unschooling method so long, and I'm still trying to focus in on who's where with what, I decided to go there and talk to them. And I gave them my little homeschool story. And I said, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to just pinpoint where every child is at academically. And because there's 4 of them, they're all over the place, I just kind of need help. So it's like, I need help. I'm trying to phone a friend. That way I can make sure everybody's moving, because they're in different directions. They have different things that they like, and I just want to make sure that I have their strengths pointed out and their weaknesses, so it'll help me better see what I'm doing to help them, right? I'm like, help me help them, right? So, but I like their testing and how they test to help not just students that are in school, but also those that are homeschooling, unschooling. They got a lot of different names for it, right? But still, even if you can't homeschool your own children, at least be active and a part of their schooling while they're under other teachers. Because when you just give them up to the system, a lot of times when you're not involved, and they got peer pressure, but when you completely give them up and just let them just try to figure it out themselves, that's when we find out that they get into a lot of other issues and peer problem issues. And now with the rise of social media, it's becoming a lot. I didn't really have to grow up in a social media era. We didn't even have pagers till we got to high school, right? But it wasn't all this quick, see what you're doing all the time, which completely just it almost like distracts them from doing anything, and it becomes addictive, just like a drug, right? And children are literally like wigging out if you take a device from them. Audrey said, how do you incorporate teaching your kids about the Creator? I just started looking into the homeschool for my son, but every curriculum is Bible based. Here's what I did. First of all, because of all the shenanigans and stuff, not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, right? I started looking into other curriculums other than Bible-based curriculums. And really, just the way we live our life is how we incorporate the Creator, especially what we learn about Oahspe, different things. I'll come look it up, or I'll try and search it if I can. And it's just like, we just take it day by day with life experiences, and that's just how I do it. I don't be like, okay, so we're gonna study the book of John today. And because I did that with my two older kids, I can't even find them. Like, I want to say they set them Bible-based curriculums on fire, and I don't blame them. Now that I know what I know now, I would have completely did what my two oldest sons did. It was crazy. I don't know. It's because when I was doing it using a Bible-based curriculum and I was really steeped in Christianity, if I could go back and do that differently, I definitely would. I would not have, not saying that those are bad, to each his own. But now that I know what I know now, I would have chosen um I would have chosen one based on more learning skills without adding a religion part in it, and just let the religion piece take care of itself in our everyday living and how we actually communicate and act with one another, how we act towards outsiders and stuff like that. That's how I would have kept that. Yeah, I know, right? The days of looking for a payphone after your beeper goes off. I'm telling you. Okay, who was that, y'all? Oh, we finished the end of chapter 11. So we're about to start on chapter 12. What time we at? An hour and 31. Let me see how long chapter 12 is. It's Saturday. I'll probably read one more chapter. Oh, yeah, let's read one more chapter. It's 34 verses. Yeah, because the last verse, he proclaims a day of recreation. And so we'll pause after chapter 12. Okay. Yeah, but Audrey, like, if you want to reach out to me, I mean, look, like I said, I'm of the homeschool moms, I'm probably like on the lowest. Like, we like to make school fun. So we like out doing stuff. Some of the stuff, like when they go to karate, we incorporate the lessons from their the hanshi at the dojo, all of that stuff. We go to the pool, safety, stuff like that. Yes, babe.
Where you go? What are you doing?
I'm about to end the video after this last chapter. And so, yes, babe.
Next week, go to the pool.
A little bit later, we're gonna go to the pool. But things like that, like if you want to text me, maybe get some ideas, I don't mind. I tell you what I've learned, what I learned not to do. So yeah, feel free. If I don't know, I'm gonna tell you, girl, I don't know. Like, I'm still trying to figure that out myself. All right, chapter 12. Page 407. The Rapon host desired to see Ahura, and so Lika sent an arrow ship with 100,000 angels, properly officered, to Varapeshanaha, to Ahura, praying him to come on a visit for 10 days, bringing his 10,000 attendants with him. And it thus came to pass that Ahura came to Theovrakistan, where he was most honorably received and saluted under the sign, morning of Jehovah's light. And he in turn answered in the sign, my words shall serve his sons and daughters too. I got like 30 something more verses to read, so let's hop down. I'll let you end it. I'll call you when I'm about to end it. Give me about 10, 15 minutes. Verse 3. According to Lika, came down from the throne and greeted Ahura. Accordingly, Lika came down from the throne and greeted Ahura, saying to him, come thou then and stand in the midst of the throne, that thy voice may delight the holy council. So Ahura ascended the throne along with Lika, and when the latter sat down, then Ahura walked to the midst and saluted the holy council with the sign, fire and water. And he spake, saying, because thou, O Jehovah, hast called me in the sign of the morning of thy light, behold, I am risen up before thee to speak to thy sons and daughters. But how shall I clear myself, O Father? I am as one who had a hidden skeleton and the place of concealment broken down. Because I was by thee created alive in the world, why should I have not forever glorified thee? This have I asked myself all the days of my life, but thou troublest not to answer me in my curiosity. when I was young in life, lo, I cried out to thee, complaining because thou madest me not wise. I said, behold, thou createst all the animals on the face of the earth to know more than I in the day of birth. Yea, I knew not, yea, I knew not where to find suck, nor could I rise up on my feet, but laid as I hold on, let me read it again. Yea, I knew not where to find suck, nor could I rise up on my feet, but laid as I was laid down by my nurse. Even to the lambs and the calves and the young colts gavest thou greater wisdom and strength than thou gavest thy servant. I said, why then shall I glorify thee or sing songs in thy praise? Why shall I pray unto thee? Thy ways are unalterable, and thy voice answereth me not. Thou art void as the wind. Thou art neither person, nor wisdom, nor ignorance. And as for thy servants who say they hear thy voice, behold, they are mad. I said, how can a man hear thee? It is the reflection of himself he heareth. How can a man see thee? It is the reflection of himself he seeth. And thou sufferest me not to become strong as to strength, and wise as to self, even as I had called unto thee in my vanity. Yea, I prided myself in myself, and as to thee, I sought to disprove thee on all hands. And the worthlessness of prayer unto thee, I showed up as a hold on. And the worthlessness of prayer unto thee, I showed up as a great vanity. Yea, I crave wisdom for the sake of showing thou wert neither wise nor good. And to this end, thou also gavest unto me. And I, excuse me, and I became conceited in hiding my conceit, even from mine own understanding, that I might carry all points. I pointed to a fool, saying, behold, Jehovah's son. I pointed to the desert place, saying, behold, Jehovah's fruitful earth, to the mountains, to the mountain which is rocks and barren, saying, behold, how Jehovah hath finished his work. And of the evil man who murdereth his brother, I said, Jehovah, good in one thing, good in all. But I knew not that, but I knew not the hand that was upon me. Thou wert answering my prayer every day. Yea, I ventured to judge thee with my eyes and my ears and my own understanding. In the place I stood, I judged thee and thy works, O Jehovah. And the craft of my speech won applause. By flattery I was puffed up, and I deemed my judgment the right one. And whoso saw not as I saw, I condemned or pitied. Yea, I craved great speech, that I might show them up in their folly. And in this thou also answerest me by giving freely. And my words were reckoned great words and wise. And I was quoted and praised far and near. Yea, and I practiced good works, that I might show unto others that, even in such like, a belief in thee was vanity and a waste of judgment. Yea, I craved means and great treasures, that I might render good unto others, in order that my own philosophy might seem the highest of the high. And even in this, thou renderedest unto me great treasures and ample means. And by my good works done unto others, I was applauded as a great and good God above all others. Fellas, turn that down a little bit. Oh, he's just spilling it all, right? Look like he done learned a few things. I crave the heavenly kingdom, that I might prove my great wisdom and power unto thousands of millions. Hold on, I think she left. Thank you. Verse 15, page 409. I craved a heavenly kingdom, that I might prove my great wisdom and power unto that. Girl, cut it back down. Thank you. Yeah, leave it on 7. Okay. Sorry, y'all. I craved a heavenly kingdom, that I might prove my great wisdom and power unto thousands of millions. For I pitied them that I thought foolishly. What? Oh, I read it wrong. I craved a heavenly kingdom that I might prove my great wisdom and power unto thousands of millions, for I pitied them that I thought foolishly, dwelt in darkness in regard to thee. I'm gonna read it again. I craved a heavenly kingdom that I might prove my great wisdom and power unto thousands of millions, for I pitied them that I thought foolishly dwelt in darkness in regard to thee. That still don't make. I'm gonna just keep going. And even yet thou, O Jehovah, didst not cut me off, but gavest me a great kingdom of 7,000 million. And I taught them my philosophy, that there was nothing above them, that thou, O Jehovah, sawest not, heardest not, answeredest not. Yea, I made my will all powerful, that I might cut them off from thee. But alas for me, I had been as a sylph of old who stole into the musical instruments and put them out of tune. My kingdom was divided into 7,000 million philosophers, and everyone mad in his own conceit and in a different way. There was no harmony amongst them. Yea, they were a kingdom of growlers and cursers. I had carried them away. I had carried away the tuning fork, for I had cast thee out, O Jehovah. Mine own philosophy had done it all. Because I set myself up as the all highest, thou didst indulge me, and I became the highest God of my people. Yea, they cast their plaudits on me at first, but afterward all their ills and their curses. Neither could I satisfy them in anything in heaven or earth, nor could I turn them off from me, for I had bound them unto me by my great promises. Right? So remember, we learned that Jehovah allows, if you want to be a king, go ahead. Go on. I'm gonna let you see it out to the end, my G. He gonna let us carry it out all the way to the end so that we can see that we are not really what we thought we was and that we portraying that we are to everybody else, right? Unless you go ahead and see that to the end, right? And you gonna come to realize and then you gonna cry out for help. Listen, because I set myself up as the all highest, thou didst indulge me, and I became the highest God of my people. Yea, they cast their plaudits on me at first, but afterwards, all their ills and their curses. Neither could I satisfy them in anything in heaven or earth, nor could I turn them off from me, for I had bound them unto me by my great promises. I became as one in a cloud because of the great trouble upon me and the fear withal. And yet thou, O Jehovah, didst not forget me, but sent thy God's words unto me, imploring me what to do, that I might be delivered in season. But how could I hear thee, O Jehovah, or hearken unto thy gods? Behold, my pride had swallowed me up. I was encompassed on every side. Ain't that just like us when we get the big head? Whew, you can't hear nothing. Crying out for help. And then when help come, nope, because I'm God. Behold, my pride had swallowed me up. I was encompassed on every side because I had denied thee before. I must deny thee still. Then greater darkness came upon me. Thy light was obstructed by the walls I had built up against thee. Verily, I had cut myself off from thee. Then came the crash, as if heaven and earth were rent asunder. I was cast into the chasm. My kingdom was upon me. The leadership and vanity I had sown had cast me into hell. I was in death, but could not die. A knot was bound upon me. Foul smelling slaves were clenched upon me, millions of them, tens of millions, and the shafts of their curses pierced my soul. Boy, the way that they use words, I'm like astonished. A knot was bound upon me. Foul smelling slaves were clenched upon me, millions of them, tens of millions, and the shafts of their curses pierced my soul. I was as one lacerated and bound in salt, choked and suffocated with foul gases. But yet, thou, O Jehovah, didst not desert me, but did hold my judgment from flying away into chaos. And thy voice came to me in the time of my tortures, came as the argument of the Most High. It was like myself that spake to myself, saying that forever casteth away all things, can never be bound in hell. He that craveth and holdeth fast is already laying the foundation for torments. And I cried out unto thee, O Jehovah, saying, Oh, that I had possessed nothing, nor talents, nor craft, nor philosophy, that I had told these wretches to go to thee, O Jehovah. Oh, now you thinking about it. No, you got the wrong person. You need to go see the man upstairs, Jehovah. Not me. I ain't Jehovah. No, over there. Matter of fact, we all gonna go together because I got some questions too. Let us go to the Creator. And I cried out unto thee, O Jehovah, saying, Oh, that I had possessed nothing, nor talents, nor craft, nor philosophy, that I had told these wretches to go to thee, O Jehovah. Oh, that I had told them, thou alone couldst bless them or supply them, but I sought to lead them, and lo, they are upon me. Oh, that I could be freed from them, that I could turn about in an opposite way from my former years, having nothing, craving nothing but a right to serve thee, O my Father. Whew. Oh, this is so good. This is so good. This man done been through something. Oh, that I could be free from them, that I could turn about in an opposite way from my former years, having nothing, craving nothing, but a right to serve thee, O my Father. Thou didst send thy gods into the depths of hell, and they delivered me. And I made oath unto thee, O Jehovah, to serve thee forever. And thou gavest me labor, and I bowed myself down to labor for thy Druhas, with all my wisdom and strength forever. And thy hand came upon me and gave me great power, power even over my own soul to create happy thoughts. Why should I not praise thee, O my Father? Thou gavest me liberty in all my ways, and didst answer me according to my desires. Neither once hast thou turned away from me, nor afflicted me, but because of my own vanity, I cut myself off from thee. Yea, thou hast shown me that to glorify thee is the foundation of the highest happiness. To sing to thee is the greatest delight. To praise thee is the highest wisdom. Hereat Ahura halted in his speech a while, and still standing in the midst of the throne, burst into tears. Whew. Presently, he said, Anusahaj was my good friend. He it was who since took the name Deus, and afterward proclaimed himself the creator. I weep in pity for him. He is in hell now. He was my best friend in the time of my darkness, and after I was delivered out of hell, he came and labored with me, full of repentance and love. Oft we rested in each other's arms. Afterward, he traveled far and near in thy great heavens, O Jehovah. And when he returned to this earth's heavens, he came not to see me, and I was heartbroken because of my great love for him. Then he founded his heavenly place and called it Horeb. And I called out to thee, O Jehovah, as to what message I should send him, for I foresaw his kingdom would be broken up and himself ultimately cast into hell. And thou gavest me liberty to send him a message in my own way. And in the anguish of my broken heart, I sent him a message saying, in substance, I have no longer any love for thee. And I chided him and upbraided him because he came not to see me to gratify my burning love. And I foretold him the great darkness and the hell that will come upon him, even as they are now. Now do I repent, O Jehovah, that I sent him such a message. For near 2,000 years, my message have been to me as if I swallow a living coal of fire. Ahura ceased. Lika spake, saying, Because thou hast pleaded for Deus, thou hast turned the Etherian host to him. To thee I allot the restoration of Deus, alias Anusahaj. My host will in the proper time take thee to the hell where he is bound, and thou shalt be the first to receive him. Lika then proclaimed the day of recreation, for there were millions of Etherians who desired to meet Ahura and greet him with love and praise. And that is the end of chapter 12. And up here at the beginning of verse 33, it says, Ahura ceased. Lika spake, saying, Because thou hast pleaded. After pleaded is reference number 3. And at the bottom, of this top part, it has 3, and it just says pleaded. It's spelled the same way, but the ed at the end of pleaded is in brackets, and that's it. Oh, I'm done. What you need? What you need? What?
The video.
Bella, I'm about to end the video.
No, I want to end it.
No, she ended
I
it
wanna
today.
end it.
No,
I wanna
we
end
ain't
it.
doing this
Yeah,
today.
I wanna
We ain't
end
doing this today. Back on up out of her. All right, y'all. So this was really, really good. What chapter is this? Let me get my Roman numerals in order. 10, 11, 12, 13. Y'all see me writing before we start because, you know, I should have learned my Roman numerals in elementary school, but I didn't. How I'm homeschooling my kids and I don't even know the Roman numerals. I told y'all, hey, I ain't trying to hide nothing. Let me tell you something. Oahspe has taught me how to read Roman numerals. I kid you not. Going through here, because in some of the earlier videos when we're reading through stuff, I'm like, what is this? XIV. And somebody would have to give me the answer, right? So, but the more, because I'm going through it and it just keeps repeating it, I'm getting it, you know? So I'm like, okay, so for the most part, I think I got it down. Like XIV is chapter 14. Remember, the X is 10. So when I think about the Super Bowl, XXX, Super Bowl 30. When it started getting into the L's, I think the L's is like when you get to the 40th chapters. Might still screw up some of the L's, but you know, I'm learning. We all in school. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out. It is Saturday, August the 6th, 2022, day 178 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And of the 4-year consecutive day count, we are on day 1196. That is the days we have been present reading here without the Sabbath days. Remember, we take the Sabbath days off and plus like 2 sabbaticals that I had to take. But consistently, that's how many days we've been reading. Today we read in the book of Lika in Oahspe, pages 398 to pages 412. And I'm remember to share those 2 videos. I'll reshare them. I shared Behind Her Eyes again. I mean before, but I'll share it again. The Lock and Key series on Netflix, where they had the keys where you can go into like the different, let's say, dimensions, but really it's more like astral projecting. But I brought that up because of when the Great Spirit was, although he didn't use astral projecting in here, he was talking about projecting yourself or going to a place via your thoughts or whatever. It's the same thing. But I thought Lock and Key was a really good example of that, as well as Behind Her Eyes. But Behind Her Eyes is a little more dark once you really get into it and you find out what's going on. So you have to be careful as well, making sure you're learning how to do this appropriately. I would say if you're going to learn how to do it, we do it anyway. We just don't realize we're doing it a lot of times until we realize that's what's been happening to us. But when you start researching it, make sure you research it from, I would say, check into you need to consider the people you're learning from, right? Because you have some people teach you how to do it and they're using, let's just say, more dark forces to do things to move a little faster. I wouldn't necessarily recommend you do it that way because you might find yourself in a position where you have not learned manually the way to do it or to how to get out of a situation. So just steer clear, take your time and learn about it. You know, like I said, it's a natural part. It's a natural part of life, having an earth body, but take your time and learn about it the right way and just ask Yah, the Great Spirit, the ever present, to just guide you while you're learning about different things, right? So I kind of got into that because I have a whole lot of supernatural things happening to me all my life. I'm just trying to figure out, why is this happening to me? Interaction with spiritual entities, all this stuff, and I wasn't getting answers. Oahspe has been a saving grace for me because after all these years trying to figure out all these supernatural things that's been happening to me, this has explained it like nobody else or no other book ever has, right? And it keeps you grounded, right? It teaches you the safe way. So I'm forever grateful to Exhale for even mentioning this fun word called Oahspe. Matter of fact, I want to say it was named Oahspe for me. Let me tell you why. Because I like fun words, right? Things that sound fun, it'll catch my attention and I'll go looking into it. Had it had said this is the book of another book of John or something like that, I probably would have left his comment where it was. But because he said Oahspe, I'm like, oh wow, what is Oahspe? And so I'm like, That's a fun word. Oahspe. I never heard of that. And that's what started me on my journey. I want to look it up. And we here today. All right, beautiful people. Let me see if I missed a question. Thanks, Tabitha. Let me go back up. I'm gonna just scroll to the top. Make sure I ain't missing nobody question. Say hi to everybody that came in. I know I missed some people. Did Shebrew ever come in? I don't think she came in. She'll probably watch it later. I was looking for Shebrew because the other day my mom was timing her out by mistake. She was traveling, and so when she hit her phone, which was in this little baggie, it kept deleting Shebrew. So kind of like butt dialing or whatever. So she wasn't doing it on purpose. She was really almost distraught when I told her what she was just like, oh my God. Send her a message, let her know I wasn't doing it on purpose. Okay. 2 days ago, you were looking for this book of Fragapati. Oh, thank you. I'm going to go look it up. Thank you, Oahspe College University. I was looking for book of Fragapati right now. Fragapati. Chapter 17, verse 8. Matter of fact, let me look at it now, real quick. Because I forgot what I was looking for. I be trying to look for everything at the same time. Let's say chapter 17. 13. 17.
No, you're not.
Okay, hold on. Let's say 17, verse 8. The mortal desire to become a spirit, then his ambition is to become an Etherean, next an Orion, next an Ovanian, next an Oetan, and then to travel in the surveys of magnitudes. But those ahead are still more surpassing in magnificence. Who then can approach the unapproachable, the all highest, he who fashioned the plan of all creations? Who is there that is not swallowed up in devotion and awe of him who was ever present, that extendeth beyond all limit, our Father, Jehovah? Oh, yes, thank you, right? And that kind of go with what we was talking about today, right? Hop down. That's why where it said what Jehovah said, that he doesn't give the names of his heaven to mortals, right? To corporeans, because it's like if you say horrid, they're one track mind. We're trying to get the horrid, right? He said, when I don't want you to be that way, I want you to experience the fullness of my creation. Like when they be traveling, when he sent them on a mission to come to earth, how they travel through, and everybody is in awe of all the other worlds and atmosphere and ethereal worlds that they travel through before they even get here. And they're in awe and glorifying, they're rejoicing, like, wow, this is amazing. Like they ain't already been there for hundreds of thousands of years, and even still being there that long, they don't even know the half yet of all that he's created, right? And so, but yeah, that's good. Thank you for that. Oahspe College University. I'm gonna bend my page right here. Page 188. I'm sorry. All right, y'all. So with that being said, I love y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out. Thank you, Set Apart Living. Tabitha, thank you. All right, y'all. So that's it today. May the great spirit continue to lead you and guide you in all truth, and may the ever present may you remember that the ever present is always present, no matter how dark your days may become, right? Because we talked about that. We get sunshine and we also get a little bit of darkness. We can't appreciate the sunshine until we experience a little bit of darkness, right? A little bit of rain. It helps the seed grow, right? So we need all the ingredients to make a healthy seed, a healthy plant. So we got to experience everything, the good, with what even we consider to be bad, right? So with that being said, beautiful people, I love y'all. I see y'all back here tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace. Elijah, bless up. Hi, Auntie Belinda Brown. Bless. Okay. Okay. All right. In the stream, baby. Bye, y'all.
Mom, we can go there.